here live on the stream. That way, we can really start to understand more about each other and really help each other grow and become better in all facets of life. Get to know each other. Okay, so right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna share my screen, make sure that everything looks good here. Okay. Looks like it is. All right. So what we're going to talk about today, all right, is something that is actually, it's really fitting and by the way, I just came from work, so I haven't been able to take my suit off yet. So it's very fitting with the idea of, well, since last time that we actually spoke here on YouTube, which is how everything that has to do with entrepreneurship and investing. Okay, and why is that so powerful, especially in the times we're living in today? Guys, this year, we've seen, all of the recent economic events have impacted many people. We've seen highest unemployment rates we've ever seen in a last century. We've seen essentially, people out of work. We've seen a health crisis. We've seen issues when it comes to a political crisis, a trade crisis. We've seen everything sort of collide at the same time. People leaving the city, going into suburbs, not being able to pay their rent, evictions now sort of on the rise, coming soon. And, the weather's getting colder now too. And people are still out of work. So, and when people were in this sort of lockdown and staying at home, a lot of people weren't able to work at their job, especially if they weren't considered an essential business. Then essentially that was a big issue. So what resulted was, well, people had to find a way to survive. People had to find a way to make money. And there weren't many options out there. But thankfully, we had technology. We had technology. If it was 100 years ago, the survival rates will probably be much lower. But because we have technology today, we have a form of reaching out via our phone, via our computers, via mobile technology, web technology, blockchain technology, that's empowered us to still be able to take charge of our financial and health and emotional lives. I'm going to share today how over many years I've been a part of a platform that's been Olive Garden, making $11 an hour, working in the kitchen, smelling like fettuccine Alfredo every single day. I got the Alfredo sauce on my shoe. I got little chicken parts all over me from working in the kitchen. I reek of chicken parmesan. I hate my life. I can't get enough hours to work for the life of me. By the way, I have a degree in business and I graduated at the top of my class. Ironically enough, and I'm working at Olive Garden. Nobody knows who I am. Nobody cares about me. Nobody respects me, essentially, right? And I'm working at Olive Garden. Now, this is not to bash on Olive Garden, right? I thank Olive Garden for opening my eyes to the opportunity of what I was in. This was just simply the times that I was living. This was back 2.5 years ago now. And it was difficult. It was difficult to have to deal with the fact that, hey, I should be, I had this sort of sense of entitlement, like, hey, I should be, having a career and I should be accomplishing all of these things in my life. And, I mean, who says that I have the right to think that? Of course, I have the right to think that. But I didn't have the tools, the right tools, to put me in a position where I can do that, where I can actually be in a career. Now, mind you, I ended up at Olive Garden working in the kitchen, probably for like 20 hours a week. That was the most that I could get because they had so many other people that they had to book. And that was like my last straw. I had already applied to over 400 companies. I still remember the Excel spreadsheet. I literally remember tracking every single company that I would apply for. I'd apply at JP Morgan. I applied at Deloitte. Oh, no, you don't have enough experience. Well, of course, I just graduated from college. I remember applying over here. Oh, yeah, of course. I remember applying at Raytheon. That was probably the closest I got actually to a job, was working at Raytheon. Which is for those of you who don't know, it's like a weapons manufacturer. I went to school at Wentworth Institute of Technology with a lot of engineers. I was one of the only business students that were there. The business program was still fairly new. So, and this was, over near the Fenway area. Great school. I loved everything that I got from Wentworth, the people that I met, the experiences that I've had. Mind you, I emphasize the people that I met, the experiences that I had, because that is what is the most memorable for me when I went to the university. Thankfully, I didn't get any student loans. Why? Because I did find out about scholarships when I was in high school, and I was able to. I realized that there's statistics out there that show that over $1 billion a year is wasted due to students in high school not knowing that they have access to scholarships. Why? Because all they hear is Freddie Mac, and Fannie Mae. That's all they hear. Student loans, conventional loans, bank loans. That's what is in the financial aid office, right? That's the noise that's out there, but nobody hears that there's actually a crate of folders, scholarships. There's rich people who have endowments and who have resources, and they're willing to give these resources to smart people who actually want to study and be successful in college, and give that to them for free. Grants and scholarships, guys. To me, that was phenomenal. That's a whole nother story we'll talk about another day. But when I went to college, I was so grateful for the people I met and the experiences I've had, because they're still my friends today. Those experiences still run with me today. They make me the person that I am today. Opened up my world. I was able to travel. I was able to get into leadership positions, able to run events, able to become an adult while I was in college. And the only issue was I didn't really learn much about business. I barely learned enough. I think I'll put it this way: I learned more about business, but I was not able to apply it and implement it. And I will give credit to my school that they did their best to give us real life scenarios where we can apply it. But in all essence, they were still theoretical. At the time, my university did not have an entrepreneurial department like they do today. Okay, so times are changing, right? People are changing. Harvard right now, oh, by the way, my school is Wentworth Institute of Technology. Well, by the way, Harvard, if you've seen the news recently, Harvard just published a that they're basically opening up their schools this year 100% online. And people are still going to pay the full rate of the education. So it's interesting because students are not going to get access that same interaction, that physical interaction that they get amongst each other when you're on campus, but they're still paying the prime rate every single year for tuition. So it's very interesting, right? But everyone's adapting, right? Most even elementary schools, secondary schools are adapting to online. Now they're adopting social distancing, right? All of this is happening in anticipation of an election coming up, vaccines coming up, a lot of things coming up. And, it just makes me, it all makes us a little worried. But what was very interesting was during those months of turmoil of March, April, and May, when we were all in lockdown and we were all nervous about losing our jobs, about what was going to happen. Oh my God, it felt like the end of the world, guys. I remember being right here and my neighbor calling me and say, hey, just prepare if something, if something happens tonight, I hope you're ready, because National Guard's coming. I remember those. I was scared to death, guys. I was scared because I didn't know what was going to happen. But what I could say is that I was probably one of the very few people who was actually excited about being able to work from home. And the reason why was actually quite simple. The reason why was simply because I already had a system that would allow me to make money while I'm working from home. So that leverage that I had was extremely valuable, because while I was working from home, I was learning about the markets. And what better time to learn about the markets when oil dropped to negative $30, right? What a better time to learn about the economy when gold skyrocketed to above $1,700. The first time that it had done that in over 50 years. What better time to learn about the markets and the economy when unemployment was down, when millions and millions of people had lost their jobs in a week, just like that. What a better time. So it was very exciting times, because as I look at the markets, I'm going to show you guys, actually, I'm going to show you guys in a second the system that I use, how valuable, how it was almost like picturesque in a way, like just seeing a painting come together. As scary as it was, because I could start to put the pieces together. The Fed, the Federal Reserve was, as quantitative easing came out, right, and all this helicopter money came out, stimulus checks came out, right, at the same time, government giving out money to everybody, you can see all of that going through the economy. It was like an orchestra, right? So I started to see that, and it just made me so excited to understand what's going on in the economy. And that's why I became fascinated in macroeconomics. That's why I became fascinated in the foreign exchange markets, the cryptocurrency markets, golds, silver, essentially. You guys want to see what silver looks like? You guys want to see what silver looks like? Okay. I'm gonna show you guys in the next one. If you guys want to see the silver that I have, all right, comment below. Maybe we'll do that in another live. Okay. So for now, I want to show you guys a system that I use, and it's all accessible through my phone. This is the same system that's been making me money during the lockdown. This is the same system that was making me money when none of us were even allowed to step out of our house, that I was able to make some money right at home, right on my phone. I didn't need a job for it. I didn't need to sell anything. I didn't need to do any of that, right? This is just me with the own savings that I had, converting those savings into a trading mechanism where my money will work harder for me. And that is the theme for today, guys, essentially, is proof that your money can work harder for you than you will ever work hard for your money. And why is that? Quite simply, because we all have this thing called time. And it does not treat us any differently, no matter where you're from, no matter what you do, no matter who you are, it's all going to treat us the same. We all get the same measurement of time. We all get 24 hours. We use our 24 hours differently, but we all still get 24 hours, right? That's our currency. Time gives us a currency of hours per day, 24 hours. So even if you worked 24 hours straight, no sleep, by the time you get to 24 hours and 1 second, it's a new day. Your time's up. So think of that if that was $24, right? The moment you spend that last dollar, it's gone. There's no more. Until the next day, you get another $24. But that's it. You only get 24. That's it. There's no more. So you can only work so hard, whether you work 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours a day, You all can only work so hard for money. And hence, that's why so many of us feel upset or frustrated, because we essentially don't feel like we're getting paid our worth. And within due reason, you're right. You're right that you're not making enough money at your job, because you're worth so much more, so much more. Actually, so much more, in fact, that there's no dollar that you can put on it. Think of an artist who puts a painting together, right? It takes them weeks to put that painting together. And that painting in itself, when it's complete, well, how much is it worth? How much was that painting worth, really? Right? That's when rich investors come in and they buy that painting, they auction it, $50,000, $100,000, $1.2 million for a painting, because the value of the time that he put into it is just infinite. The value of your time is infinite. If you're liking what I'm saying below, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on this platform. So think of that, right? That's essentially, your time is invaluable. There's no way to measure it with a quantitative, dollar amount. And if you did, it's always going to be underestimated. You're always going to be underpaid. Always. Grant Cardone once said that you will never get paid your worth. You'll always be underpaid for what you do, right? There will be a time where you'll be overpaid for something, but it always usually works out that you overcome that. You're always underpaid because your time is so invaluable, right? So now, if it's a question about currency and producing income, what do you do when you worked all of the hours for your day and the income just isn't enough? Well, then now you have to incorporate different resources. What type of resources? Such as assets, which are items that produce an income. Assets, right? Like Robert Kiyosaki once said, right, in the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, which you can see right here where I'm pointing, Rich Dad Poor Dad, he said that an asset puts money into your pocket, right? So what kind of assets are you acquiring? Well, there are many different types of assets like that. I mentioned a few already: silver, gold, artwork, essentially real estate, the foreign exchange market, stocks, etc., right? These are assets that bring money into your pocket, essentially. So what do you do when you incorporate these assets? Well, what you're actually doing is you're employing these resources, right? Employ, which, if you look at the definition, employing, which is to hire, right? You're employing these resources to work for you on your behalf. See, now what does that give you? That actually gives you your 24 hours to still stay focused on your 24 hours. Meanwhile, this resources exists in an infinite space working for you. Infinite. It doesn't have a timeline. It's just literally working and working and working, and it's producing for you. Now, technically, it is on a 24-hour time zone. However, it doesn't operate on a clock or a schedule or a lunch break, right? It's just going to continuously work for you. So its ability to grow and expand is literally just based on the mechanisms of how it's structured, right? Think of real estate, for example. Real estate, essentially, that house has an ability, if you rent it to an individual or to a business, has an ability, or whether that's a piece of land, has an ability to create an income for you so long as somebody is living in there. And that can be for eons, right? You can own a piece of land for, you can have a trust on that land, and that can perpetually, you can have people live in that thing forever and turn it over for ever and ever, generation after generation. I work with business owners who have farmland for over 4 generations. I'm talking about 80 years. Like, that's crazy, right? Talk about an asset, right? Because that land will outlive them. So what happens when you use up all your time and it's gone? Let's face it, one day we will be physically out of this body, right? Whatever you believe in, right? Whatever spiritually you believe in, we will physically not be in this body anymore. And essentially it will be given to somebody else. Well, that item that you possess, somebody else takes possession or ownership in it somehow. Or if you have a trust, or somebody in your family, you transfer that ownership to them, was now they can continue, right? So that resource is working for you. Think about stocks, right? You could potentially just keep your money in the S&P 500, and look at the chart over the last 100 years. Look what the S&P 500 is continuously growing. So resources, right? Or if you own gold, or if you own silver, essentially, right? It's been around since the dawn of the existence of this planet. Gold and silver exists in this entire universe, right? So it's been around forever. So talk about breaking time, right? Talk about real wealth. So what I'm about to show you guys is a system that I use, and then we're going to wrap up here, that's helped me, especially during those times, the most turbulent times that we face here in 2020, to produce an income. And now to a point in which it is working for me. In fact, it's working so hard for me, while now that the economy has reopened, I live and work in New York City. So now that the economy has reopened, then essentially people are going back to work, including myself, and I'm working full time, 8 to 5, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Well, essentially these resources are working for me in the background. Just keep in mind, before I show you what I'm about to show you, that everything that I'm showing you here is for educational purposes, right? Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. I am not a registered investment advisor, so this information should not be construed as investment advice. Rather, this is simply educational information and or information about me sharing my personal experience investing. In no way am I trying to give advice, because I am not a financial advisor, okay? I just want to make that very clear. All right, so with that said, I'm going to share my screen with you guys here. Okay. And I'm going to show you the system that I use, where I've learned how to make money in the financial markets. Okay. So first, we're going to talk about something called Forex, right? Forex, which is short for the foreign exchange market. Okay. And as you guys can see here, okay, on the far right, you see a bunch of different currencies, right? These symbols, right? These symbols represent different currencies in the market. Okay, this is the only way I learned this is because I am a shareholder with the publicly traded company, and I also, so this is in a way, an intention for me to sell a stock or anything like that, or to suggest that you invest in a stock. Again, this is just my personal experience. So I'm with a company that has a platform that teaches me how to trade in the financial markets. So these financial markets include the foreign exchange and cryptocurrency market. So I can look at these markets in real time on a daily basis. I can look at it on a monthly basis. As you'll see here, I don't know what that is. On a monthly basis, right? You can see, let's just see here. All right, I'm just gonna share my screen with you guys. Okay. So, as you can see here, these are a few cryptocurrencies, Cardano and Bitcoin. Many of you are familiar with Bitcoin. You can see in real time how it's being traded right now in the markets. Okay, so you can look at it from a 1 hour time frame. You can look at it from a monthly time frame, right? You can look at it from a 4 hour time frame, right? So these are the things that I analyze on a regular basis. Okay, now we can look at things like the Japanese the Australian dollar versus the Japanese yen. We usually look at currencies comparing one in relation to another. We use a strategy called the Sequelizer, which was branded by a gentleman called Stefan Kassing, who used to be in charge of the German division of a trading sort of a trading plotting company, where they had a technology platform that people can use so that they can mark their charts and they can do analysis in the markets. He came over and partnered with our company so he could provide education so that we can learn our own strategies of how to invest in the markets as well. So part of his strategy is understanding a combination of many different sort of principles of trading that many investors usually know. But he's in these markets every single day. So I use his knowledge to play around a little bit and use my own strategies so that I can make money in the markets. Now, using these strategies, guys, I'm going to show you what that's been able to create for me. Okay. So last week, I've had a very successful week, right? And I'll show you guys on the screen here. I had what I would consider a pretty good week. Okay. Before I show you what the results look like, I'm going to show you the platform that I use. So remember, I just showed you that chart. So we looked at the Australian dollar versus the Japanese yen, right? So let's go to AUD JPY. AUD JPY. Where are you? AUD JPY. All right, it's gonna be in here. Boom. So AUD JPY, following his strategy. Okay, now at the end of the day, it's up to me to identify exactly where I get in and exactly where I'm gonna get out, do my own analysis. But he shows me a little bit of his guidance on the way. Okay, so I have a little bit of independence in that and figuring it out on my own. So my results are going to be different from his, and everybody's results are different, right? Depending on how much you're risking, what size is your account, and so on. So his strategy over time performs this. Okay, this is the amount of pips, or essentially this is the point gain, essentially on it, which is quite significant. So obviously past performance doesn't guarantee future results, but I made money on this trade. Okay, I don't make money on every trade, right? But you see the green designates essentially from where we entered, which was usually this box, all the way to where we exited, which was up here. So I don't make money on every single trade. All right. In fact, my strategies usually are, there's a good amount of losses and a good amount of gains. All right. And that's something that I learned in the markets is you will lose money. Absolutely, 100%. I will guarantee that you will lose money. Okay. The question is, what I've learned from these experts, what they've taught me through the university is quite simple. The way to win in the markets is reducing your risk, okay, and increasing your possibility of gain. That's all it is. The markets are all about measured risk. Okay, so using these strategies, all of this is sent literally right here to my phone. Okay, so while many of us were nervous, during the lockdown, goodness gracious, oh, what's gonna happen with my account? I get the alerts sent right to my phone. Let me take a look at it right here. Okay, and I just follow them, as you guys can see. So he sends it to my phone, and then I just copy the information right on. Now with this, I have to do my own analysis. So I do my own analysis, and I basically get my own type of result, right? Based on the education that he's providing. He gives his own analysis and so on. So that's one of them. Okay, now that is sort of more of a premier type of thing. Now let's just say you want something a little bit more basic. Okay, and this is probably my most favorite. Okay, we work with the gentleman who's probably been the longest standing, is a great track record, but obviously track records can change over time. So, nothing to take for granted that things will always be the same, because they will always change. However, he did provide us some trade alerts, okay? And usually these alerts are sent directly onto my phone. Okay, I copy these alerts and I paste them right in to my brokerage account. Okay, right into my brokerage account. Okay, so this is how we did in August. Okay, now as you guys see this, okay, let me stop the share so you guys can actually see the appropriate screen. All right, this is inside view of my Telegram. So we have over 15 channels, okay, one of which this is how we perform. Okay, so he sends us a report every week, right? As he sends a trade to my phone, all I simply do is copy and I paste it right into my phone. I let go of my phone, I go about my day. Okay, I'm working 9 in the morning, 10 to 6, 7 o'clock in the night. I'm going to the gym. I'm with my family. I'm doing what I need to do. And at the end of the day, I look at my phone later and I'll see, oh, my trade hit this or my trade hit that amount, right? I'll see what's going on. But my money, the moment I click enter, has already entered into the market. So I'm sending the troops. I'm sending Benjamin. I'm sending Jackson. I'm sending Grant out there to work for me as I go about my day. That is employing your money, employing your assets to work for you. So essentially, this is a demonstration of one of our channels, probably my most favorite channel. In August, we performed at 300 pips, 180 pips, 871 pips, 290 pips. So 1,600 pips for the month of August. That means if you were trading with if you had $10,000 sitting in your savings account collecting dust, because we know our banks don't pay us to keep our money in there. But if you put that $10,000 into a trading account and you employed that $10,000 to work, right? You're obviously risking those $10,000. If you employed that $10,000 to work, you would currently have right now, you would currently be up $1,682. That's quite significant, guys. That's in 1 month, $1,682 on your $10,000 account. You not doing anything. I'm not saying you're not doing anything because you actually do have to copy and paste, plug in the alert, but you're not doing the analysis. They are, okay? They're doing the analysis for you. All right. Now you are taking your risk, of course. So keep that in mind. So think of the significance, right? That look at his win rate. Okay, so you see, we don't win every single trade, right? We do lose trades. All I do is I get these text messages, as you can see here. He'll tell me the trade, Euro USD or USD CHF or USD CAD, right? USD CAD is Canadian dollar. So let's say USD Canadian dollar. He tells me what I buy, or that's what he's gonna do, right? It's up to me to decide whether I want to take that trade or not. Tells me a good entry point he's gonna get in at, right? He's gonna tell me, where he's gonna mark his potential for loss, how much he's willing to lose, and up to how much he's willing to gain, right? TP means take profit. What his 3 take profit levels. These are parameters that you put into your phone. The moment that you place it on your phone, you enter the trade, it has activated, okay, according to the instructions you gave it. So from that moment on, it's just the technology working for you. Thank goodness that we live in 2020, because now it's just working for you. Okay, and you go about your day. Check on it later. Make sure you make your proper modifications throughout the day, as the trade progresses. But essentially, it's that simple, guys. It literally is that simple. Now, if you want to do these trades on your own, we have a whole university where you can learn how to you can learn all everything about different strategies for trading forex in the market. So essentially, very, very important to remember. Okay, now that in alone is just one channel. Okay, but we have all of these channels, guys. Those of you who like stocks, those of you who like trading alerts, look, we traded the QLD, right? ProShares of Ultra QQQ. And that was on September 9th, September 23rd, 100% cash. Okay, we sold. So we have different experts, and that was on the NASDAQ 100. We have different experts in different markets, right? So I just showed you the foreign exchange market. I just showed you our Trend Pro strategy, right? Which is, more looking at the NASDAQ. We also have our option strategies. We also have commodities that we trade, commodities which include gold and silver and the Dow Jones and the index markets, right? So many different strategies that are in here, right? Really at your disposal. And we even have chats in different languages as well, as you guys can see. So much value. Okay, guys, alone, just that right there. That, I'm gonna tell you, is the secret sauce to how I made money. Now, I'm gonna show you just last week how successful this is. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys for the night. Okay, so I want to show you guys what my account looked like last week. Okay, because it was now I will tell you every single week is different. Okay, I can't guarantee that it will always be like this. Okay, because past performance doesn't guarantee future results. But one thing I could tell you is the last week I was pleased with the results that I found. I was pleased. Okay. And let me see if I can find it here. 1 second, guys. You're gonna like what you see. Just hold on a minute. Okay. I know the suspense, right? Okay. So last week, as you can see, I lost some trades. Right? You can see that I lost some trades right here. See, I lost a trade here. So I lost a big one here. Right? But all in all, it was a pretty good week. Okay. Now, like I said, not every week is like this, but take a look. Right? Take a look at some of these trades. Okay. Remember USD CAD? Remember you guys saw that? Boom. So essentially, not every trade is a win. It's about how you manage your risk. When these trades going in the opposite direction, I have to make decisions, critical decisions, to figure out how I'm going to adjust or adapt, right? Do I continue to let the trade run? Do I let it hit my stop loss? Do I sell now or get out of the trade now? All of those things is up to my discretion, right? I get to decide that. Now, if that's not your thing and you'll feel a little bit more confidence just kind of saying, hey, let me just give my money to somebody and have them trade for me. Well, we do have registered investment advisors who trade on your behalf. We do have that. And we actually have technology. We have AI technology that will also trade on your behalf as well. It's called Crypto Elite. I did a video on it. I'm going to link it below. Okay. I did a video on Crypto Elite, which I linked below. I also did a video on the trade alerts, which you guys just saw, and you guys can see the link below. But for the most part, this is a whole ecosystem. Right now, I have, let me see, 1, 2, 3. I have 3 AI strategies that are trading in the crypto market 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the next year for me. That's just money working for me on the side, right? It's not a savings account because a savings account can never do that. But it is simply a vehicle to help produce income for me. So literally what I have done is I work my 9 to 5, but I know that I'm limited to my 9 to 5. So what I did was I cloned myself. I duplicated myself and put something else here that can also produce income for me. And when it created enough income, then I used that income to replicate myself again so that it can produce more income for me again. And then again, I replicated myself so I could produce more income for me again. And it continued to do that same thing. Okay, this is what real estate investors do. They buy a property with the equity of the property, they take a loan on another property, and with that property, as it appreciates in value, they take on another property and it continues. Right? This is what in the markets we do. Those earnings that I use, right? There are many things that I can do. I can cash all of that out and go ham and go spend it all on liabilities and go shopping. Probably not a good idea, right? So instead, right, I can do a few things. I can leave it in my account, take advantage of compound interest, because as my account continues to grow, then it's the account works in as a multiplier instead of as addition, right? When we work a job, what are we doing? We're working addition, right? Hey, you make $8 an hour, you make $8 an hour. You make $20 an hour, you make $20 an hour. It's just 20 plus 20 plus 20. Well, what if your account's $10,000, everything that you save, and it's growing at a percentage? You see, that's using compound interest, which Einstein said compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Those who understand it earn it, and those who don't understand it pay it. Very simple. Einstein once said, again, I'll say the quote again, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Those who understand it earn it, those who don't understand it pay it. Quite simple. Now, all of these investments, most investment use some version of compound interest to either grander or a smaller scale. So you can work all your life in the addition phase, or you can clone yourself and then have a resource that's going to multiply for you. Your choice, guys. Now, I want to share all this with you because it's been a long journey, guys. It's been a long journey since that day that I was a kid, working at Olive Garden, working at a restaurant, after having graduated college, and just realizing, man, like this isn't life for me. Until one day, that guy told me, it was a kid just like me, just about my, actually, he's literally the same age as I am, and came from similar background as me. We stayed in communication, and but the difference was he was traveling over here and there. Dude was going wherever he wanted, basically just walking around in sweatpants, doing whatever he wanted to do in life. I'm just like, that looks like an elite lifestyle to me. This guy is like an elite, right? I'm like, how is it that? So I asked him once. I said, hey, how is it that you get to live this elite lifestyle? And he told me, hey, well, you know what? I'm actually gonna be in New York next week. Okay, because he lives in another country. So I'm gonna be in New York next week. Why do you come down and see what we have going on? This was 2.5 years ago. This is right when I was, right when I was working at Olive Garden. And dude, I'm like, hey, I get to speak with this guy. He's successful. He already retired both of his parents, right? He's living this elite lifestyle already. This guy basically gets to work from wherever he wants. I'm like, hell yeah, I gotta go. So I literally got in my car with $40 in my pocket, and I just grabbed whatever I could, and I went to New York. And guess what? I never went back. I never went back to that job. Never went back, guys. And essentially, from that very moment, I got into investing. I actually got a job here, a full-time job working into lending, because in order for you to invest, you first need to make money. Okay. So that job that you still want to quit, keep it. Okay. I told you I'm not going to give you any financial advice, but the one thing that I will say, okay, a suggestion, just as a future friend here, is that job that you so want to let go, that you despise so much, keep it. All right. Just take a little bit more time to keep that job. All right. Even when you're making a little bit more money, right, in your investments, still keep it. All right. Keep your job, like Jim Rohn once said. Right. Keep your job until it gets to the point at which it is more expensive to stay in that job than it is for you to let it go. that is the moment where you actually let it go, your job. Okay, and that's not from me, guys. That's from Jim Rohn, very well-known business philosopher. So uh, that's basically it, guys. I know this took a little bit longer than expected. I really want to just get on here, share with you my story, share with you sort of what's been going on in my life, how I've gotten to where I am today. And if any of you are actually, curious or want to learn more about, sort of my journey, go onto my Facebook, look back at the memories, look back at the stories, look at how far I've come, look at my crazy hairdos and, all the different like phases I went through, and see that all of this stuff is a journey, right? At the end of the day, the information that I showed you guys, that got me through a turbulent time. We all did something to get through a turbulent time. Those months that we went through here this year in 2020, epic historical moments. Guys, I am so blessed to be a part of a system that allowed me to be able to in a way free myself, right? To in a way do something that was productive. And now I want to give that to you. So those of you who actually really like that system, I just want to come on here and share my story with you, because we're going to be doing a lot more of these lives on a consistent basis. But those of you who want to learn about the system that we use, I will put a link below where you can actually go in and take advantage of all of our programs. And I'm going to give you a free resource. It's a PDF that I've worked really, really hard to put together. It's 8 healthy financial habits that I've learned hanging around successful tycoons of business, entrepreneurs of business leaders of the world, how their financial habits I've been able to adapt into my life and create just a slight more financial success in my life. And I hope that you guys can use that along on your way as well. With that said, guys, remember to like, remember to share, remember to subscribe. This is Vinny, also known as 8-Figure Vision. I got love for all of you, and I'm signing out for tonight. Until next